bright spots in San Diego's economy is Nassco. They've been building ships, of course, for years and years, building more of them these days, and some very interesting job opportunities down there. Nassco appears to be close to winning a big contract, says the headline in the Union Tribune. Gary Robbins wrote the story. Gary, welcome back to the show.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. So good news.
It is good news. Nassco today launched the first in a new class of Navy auxiliary ships. It's a so-called Pier at Sea. It's a staging area for the Navy and for Marine Corps. They want to get these ships closer to the shore so they can get things on and offshore more quickly.
Things being all the supplies.
Oh, a lot of supplies.
Well, where's it going to hold, for instance? Is it military supplies or is it toilet paper? I mean, what is going on there?
I think it's both of those. Plus, there are slots on the ships where they can bring in LCACs, you know, the hovercraft that the Marines use. So it's like this big terminal at sea that just floats.
It's a Walmart for the military.
It is. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Now, that's very helpful to the bottom line of Nassco, but they also need commercial contracts. Recently, American petroleum tankers announced that they were going to build two ships at Nassco, but the deal's not settled yet. However, the president of Nassco, Fred Harris, says, we think we're on the line for a much larger deal that we would announce later this year. It has not been signed, but it is looking very good, and if they did that, Nassco would likely be able to increase its workforce. They're at 3,100 now.
3,100?
3,100. Now, that's actually down from recent years because they've struggled to get commercial contracts. The world economy brought a real decline in shipbuilding, but they seem to be rebounding. So a lot of American ship companies are needing to rebuild or build new ships because of environmental laws. You know, they need to be more emission friendly as they move up and down the coast. And the
double
cost,
hold, for example, if they're carrying oil.
Absolutely. And these ships at the same time have to be more efficient as they move. The cost of fueling these ships to move fuel is enormous, and it keeps going up. So they're looking for a new class of tankers that are more efficient and more environmentally friendly. And Nassco is saying to the builders, we have a design for you.
In fact, they have a design team that's pretty remarkable, too, here.
It is here. It's right here in Mission Valley, not far from where we're sitting. They have about 300 workers, and they design a lot of ships. So that entire class of ships that they did for the Navy, the so-called Lewis and Clark vessels, the dry cargo ships, the line they finished earlier this year, those were all designed over here in Mission Valley. And so is this new ship, the so-called mobile landing platform.
Now, this mobile landing platform, that's the one here, the USS Montford Point, that's going to be launched. Not launched in the old-fashioned way either. Huh? They don't let it run down the ways into the water anymore.
I know why they do this, but it troubles me because I'm an old-timer. In the past, you take a major ship and you send it down the ways, you know,
right.
Slowly go down these greased boards into the water. Today, when they launched the Montford Point, what they really did was they filled the dock that had been built in.
The dry dock?
Yes. It was a dry dock, an open dock. It was, you know, there was nothing else in it. And they slowly filled it with water over a period of a day and then just floated it out on the tide into San Diego Bay. And everything went perfect, but there's no drama there.
Yeah.
When they launched the Cesar Chavez earlier this year, it was so dramatic to see this nearly 800-foot ship go sliding down into the water and the fireworks
big
going on.
Whoosh of water.
Oh, it was amazing.
It's a drama. Well, nothing like that anymore. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, this ship, though, the Montford Point, is the first of, what, 3 that have been ordered by the Navy?
Right, and the Obama administration has money in their budget for a 4th. They think what they want to do is modify the ship after the second ship. In other words, give it additional capability, enable it to do more things in the movement of equipment and personnel, and perhaps even bring in helicopters and jump jets, Harrier jets. So it would be closer to a one of these amphibious ships, but still a supply ship. A
supply ship. Now, I wonder about these supply ships because they're completely unarmed. They're sitting out there like sitting ducks. Right. I mean, good grief. We already know the Iranians. Everybody else has these anti-ship missiles. Mm-hmm. What's the thought about these things? This is like a Walmart that's completely unprotected. There's no security.
It doesn't have its own security, but it has other naval ships around it to protect it. So perhaps a frigate, the frigates are going out of the fleet very quickly, being replaced by the littoral combat ship. Maybe this is a role for the LCS. This is not so clear to me.
The LCS has one little, what, 120 millimeter gun or something?
Yeah, they're not heavily armed.
They're not heavily armed either.
So in the end, you may need to use destroyers to shield these ships.
Yeah, because these are going to be positioned in pretty dangerous places because we have to have those supplies near where they're needed.
The idea is that if a problem breaks out anywhere on Earth, we need to have our supplies closer to the shorelines of where there's a potential problem.
Right.
That's why this ship is being built. And they cut down on the cost of building a ship by limiting arms, by limiting a lot of things that a naval ship might otherwise have. So maybe you make up for it in the cost of this ship, but it also takes time and money to have a destroyer sit on one of these and protect it.
Exactly right. Now, this thing cost how much? This ship, nearly 800 feet long.
Well, they're building 3 at a cost of $1.3 billion. So that's over $300 million. What, 400? You're going to make me do math?
400, yeah, something like that.
$400 million a ship.
Yeah.
The next one after that, it's not clear to me whether it would cost a lot more, like the modified version, because it will have more things in it.
Right.
But the original contract for these vessels, these 3, was $3.3 billion.
Wow.
Nassco came back. They needed the work. They said, we will give you 85% of what you want in this ship, and we'll do all 3 of them for $1.3 billion.
Yeah.
The Navy said yes, and they say that it looks like they'll just be able to add on as they need to down the line. Now, it costs to add on, obviously, Roger, but
yeah.
To get them done and in the water is costing far less than originally.
To pre-position all of these things we might need in places around the world where we might need them.
Yes, exactly.
Now, talking now about the oil tankers and the private commercial work. I was just talking about a story here where the shale oil development in the United States is huge and may make the United States the largest oil producer in the world by 2020, which is a surprising development.
Right.
Because we were going downhill in oil production in previous years, with Saudi Arabia and Russia, of course, still the biggies. We would even overshadow them by 2020. Is it the law that these, if you're going to export some of this oil, that you have to have American tankers to do it?
I don't know, and that may be part of the Jones Act that I don't understand.
Yeah, and that may be part of why these guys are coming to American shipbuilders to do them now.
Well, Fred Harris told me something that I didn't understand. He said that the American shipbuilders, the people that are moving fuel up and down our seaboards and in the Gulf, realize that they've got to go double haul, and that the cost of operating these ships, because of what it cost to fuel them, was going so far out of sight that it made more sense to build new, more economical ships.
So economics is driving this, too.
Economics is totally driving this.
Yes. Gary Robbins, thanks for bringing all the good news to us. We needed good news today.
Thank you.
Appreciate your reporting. I'm Roger Hedgecock. We'll be back, and we'll be back.